Good evening. Welcome to Billy Coaching Live. Really a great pleasure to be with you today. And I would like to introduce Greg just joining us. So, hello, Greg, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. I apologize for the delay.
No problem. I just started the live, so you are perfectly on time. That's
Perfect.
wonderful. Thank you so much for being there. So, for those who are joining the live for the first time, I'm Christine Billy. I'm a professional coach, and I have the pleasure to welcome leaders and interview leaders on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 6 p.m. CEST. And on the topic of influencing and leadership. And that's why I wanted to have also Greg joining us today. We had a panel discussion with Lynn Harrison 2 weeks ago, and we wanted absolutely to continue on the topic you can see on the banner, which is about respectful leadership. So this is really an opportunity for all of us to dig into this topic today. So don't hesitate to share your question, your comments, either if you are on YouTube, on LinkedIn, or on Twitter, you can share, and I will include that as part of our discussion. Okay, wonderful. So I was just saying, Greg, that this is great because when I do the interview on Tuesdays, I have the pleasure to be live twice during the day, in the morning for sharing tips and evening for learning about, from our discussion. So this is really wonderful. I like Tuesdays. So I want to introduce you again for those who were not part of the live last time. So you are the founder of the Center and best-selling award-winning author, speaker, facilitator, and executive coach. So you publish numerous books, and you will share more about this topic, about respectful leadership. Before that, traditionally, I like to mention how we met. And so we met as part of the Association of Corporate Executive Coaches, ACEC. I happen to have the privilege to be the ambassador for Europe and Asia, basically developing the awareness of this association and also providing you, audience, with opportunity to either reach to us to know more about the association if you are interested to join as a professional coach, or for leaders listening, you can also maybe reach to us because you have a specific need and maybe we can help you with. We will be very happy. So, hello to CB, the founder of ACEC. That's traditionally I have like a game with her. I say, you know that I'm going to talk about you. So just listen to the live and tell me exactly when I said that, So this is just something fun we are doing as part of the family. Okay, so that said, Greg, welcome. So preparing this live and reflecting on the wonderful discussion we had 2 weeks ago, I was thinking, okay, how to start the discussion, okay? And I came with this question. So I'm asking you the question, and let's see where we go with the question, which was, merging influencing and respect, right? So something like how can we influence, because this is so important to influence, daily, right? We want to influence our colleagues, we want to influence our family, our friends, our clients. How to influence with respect?
That is a wonderful, wonderful question. Thank you. Thank you. Way to start. I think if we look back, historically speaking, all the way back to the beginning of the industrial age, what we found is that there were two primary methods of leading others. The first was called command and control, and we're all very, very familiar with it. It essentially says, do as I say because I'm your boss. And The other leadership style we're also very familiar with is called carrot and stick. In other words, do as I say because I'm your boss. And if you succeed, you will be rewarded with a carrot. And if you don't, you will be punished with a stick. And, in certain environments, such as the military or police or firefighting, the command and control leadership style is entirely appropriate. So I never want people to think that that style shouldn't ever be used. Or when lives are at stake, such as here in the American Southeast, we during the summers we have tornadoes. And so if my boss says to me, hey, there's a tornado coming, you better go seek shelter, do it now, and they issue that as a command, you're darn right I'm going to do it. I'm going to seek shelter. So there is a time and there is a place for command and control leadership, just as there's a time and a place for carrot and stick leadership, such as commission-based sales, where if you do very well selling something, well, you're going to be rewarded. And if you don't do well, you're going to get let go. And that's the way it goes. So the third leadership style, which we are seeing more and more prevalent in our culture all over the world, is influencing. Not command and control, not carrot and stick, but simply influencing others to head in the direction that we believe is the best way to go. And so if you think about today's workplace, can you really command your colleagues to do anything? Can you command them to respond, or your direct reports? Well, you could try, but they're probably going to feel disrespected, especially our millennial generations. I have 3 millennial children, and also our Gen Zs, who are the most educated workforce in history. And by 2025, they will make up more than half of our workforce all over the world. And in some places, they already do. And overall, they feel very disrespected when people command them to do anything. So the world has fundamentally changed. And we have to find ways to influence others to go in the way we want them to go. We find that if you treat people in a way that they consider to be respectful, then it's likely they will feel willing to be influenced by you. If you treat them in ways that they consider to be disrespectful, then it's going to be very, very hard for you to influence them to go in the direction you want to go. So respect essentially is what we call the platinum rule. Do unto others as they would have you do unto them.
Yeah, and I think it's very important what you just shared. It's like, first came to my mind that this aspect of respect, the definition and how you know that you are respecting yourself and others is really depending on circumstances, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
as you said, it's perfectly appropriate sometimes to give orders because that's the situation requires it.
Right.
And then people will feel respected because of that. Okay,
Yes.
so that's also depending on the situation. So maybe the link with what we call situational leadership.
Exactly. Yes.
And also depending on each person. It's not because I have specific beliefs and specific ways to feel respected that it's necessarily the same for you. So
exactly.
It needs
Exactly.
to be I need to be in curiosity about what means respect for the other to ensure that we can align on that, because it's not necessarily the same thing. Because I recall instances where I gave trainings in different countries, and I was not reflecting now afterwards is easier, but say, oh yeah, I could have better prepared, right? Because depending on the culture, this aspect of respect is can be very different.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
American culture, for example, is very, very blunt and direct.
Mhm.
And there are many cultures all over the world where that is considered to be disrespectful when
Mhm.
you are very blunt and direct with people. So it's important that we as leaders understand that our workplaces are more diverse than they've ever been in their history. There are more people working from us from all over the world, from all different perspectives, nationalities, backgrounds, gay, straight, doesn't matter. There's just an enormous amount of diversity, and we have to be aware that what worked for us in the past is not necessarily going to work for us in the future, and that we, as you said, have to be intellectually curious about the people who work with and for us in order to best influence them in a way that you think is the best way to go. And typically speaking, these days, telling people what to do and how to do it is considered by many people, especially the highly educated, the highly experienced, to be very disrespectful. It just doesn't work.
Mm. Yeah, and so it, it leads to also, for me, associating this aspect of respect with judgment and curiosity,
Mm,
right? So the if you want to facilitate the access to understanding what means respect for you and the other, it's really about curiosity, as we said before. Judgment is really a big blocker, huh? I can, think about a lot of personal experience and also, coaching people. Often you realize that's because there is judgment, okay, about what is respect, what is not respect, etc., or other topics that, people end up in conflict or, feeling different type of emotion, feeling stuck. So it's interesting to think that because we have focused all our life probably on defining for ourselves what means respect,
right.
sometimes with very strict, definition, right? So, for
Yes.
example, for me as a French person, and a Parisian by birth, you need absolutely to sit at the table to have, lunch or dinner, right? It's not even, you can't even think to do it otherwise. So it's a question of respect, and there are a lot of rules. Okay, when you are there, you have to follow a lot of different rules.
Yes.
Okay, so
Yes.
anything which a behavior that will be different from these rules will maybe considered not respectful.
Correct.
Right? So it's
Correct.
based on judgment, right? So I
Correct.
think it's really interesting, this link between judgment and respect, because and you will tell us what you think about that. The more I develop in my life, the more I realize that actually respect is about curiosity and not about judgment. Mm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I was raised in a household where my parents were very different people. And yet they taught me and my brothers that the best we could do with people who are different from us is to shut up and listen and just be aware and tuned into what they were giving to us, what others were giving to us before jumping in and doing our thing. Now, I also had the benefit of being trained in acting at theater school, and then I worked professionally as an actor, both in New York and in the UK. And acting is all about listening.
Mhm.
Acting is all about listening to other people and then responding to what you get. And so I was very fortunate. A lot of people were not given that kind of training. A lot of people, especially today, are specialists in their fields. They go through college and they specialize. And many people are technical specialists,
Mhm.
engineering, technology, and so on. And so none of those so-called soft skills like listening, like reflecting, like influencing rather than command and control, none of those soft skills are covered in their education. I had the benefit of having it covered in my education, but a lot of people haven't. And so it's part of our role, I see, as leaders, is to not only to emulate that practice of being curious, not judgmental, but just to be curious. And then others will see us do it too. But it is a learned skill. It is not something we can just do automatically. It is a learned skill.
Yeah, yeah, and so this is so important, and I think both of us and all the coaches are really engaged in spreading the word, right? So really helping this transition from judgment to curiosity. And again, for those who are listening, it's not to say that judgment you need to forget about judgment.
Right.
Okay, that's not what we say. Judgment is important when you need to analyze data and when you need to make a decision. But
Right.
it's about spending most of the day in curiosity, enjoying, interactions, what's going to happen, and, this learning, and from time to time making decisions. So then, at the end of the day, you are not so tired because the brain is using a lot. Yeah, usually, people are laughing when I say that because, I believe we overuse our brain, right? So, yeah, with this judgment.
As coaches, I think also we've been trained to be good listeners and reflect back what we're
Mhm.
hearing. And this is it seems so simple, but just using simple reflective listening techniques like, Christine, what I think I'm hearing you say is X, Y, and Z. Just doing that, people like feel heard, they feel listened to, they feel valued. It's a very simple thing, but because we get so busy and so frantic and everything is a fire to be put out and everything is urgent, we forget that a simple thing like reflective listening can make an enormous difference on whether or not two people are communicating effectively. And once you start using that practice on a regular basis, things become so much easier. Even when the house is burning down, you can get things done very, very quickly if you just use that technique regularly.
Yeah, that's such an important point because I saw so many effort and money spent on things which were not useful because people didn't listen at the beginning because they were not. I mean, yeah, I mean, we all do
Yeah,
that from
yeah,
time to time, right? We are
yeah.
convinced, okay, I understood what is needed, then we go for it. We do our best, and at the end, we reflect and say, okay, no, that's what
Right,
that was not what was needed.
right.
So really, the message here: stop and reflect and say, yes, if I understand well, or something like that, just to reframe and make sure that you are aligned and you understand the
Yes,
benefit of that, the value of that is so
yes.
important for
It's
teams.
so important. There,
Yeah.
there's another thing that's very simple to do, and people laugh when I say this. Say please and
Mhm,
thank you. I
mhm,
was recently in Costco, the big box store
mhm.
here in the U.S., and it was chaos. It was very, very busy. It was getting towards closing time. Everybody was in the lines, and it was just crazy busy. And at one point in the line next to me, they were missing a price, and I could tell that everybody was getting annoyed. And one of the managers quickly ran over to one of the staff members and he said, "Could you please go to aisle whatever it is and check the price on this item as quickly as you can?" And just by using please, you could just see the employee just say absolutely, and off they went. And they came back as quickly as they could. You could tell they were really moving quickly. And the manager said, "Thank you so much. That helps us out." And they got it done. And if that manager just said go to aisle blah 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 and get that price, well, yeah, the employee could have done it, but they wouldn't necessarily have done it with the enthusiasm that
Mhm.
they did, the willingness to help out and get things solved very quickly. When you bark orders at people, it puts them off. If you just say please, even though things are urgent, if you just say please and then thank you when they comply, it makes all of the difference. It shows respect and it works. It's simple, but it works.
That's fabulous. And you know what? I believe that we should say that to ourselves as well.
Yes. That's a
right?
good point.
Can you please do this? Thank you for doing that, to
Yes,
ourselves, because it's a way to reward yourself and to also to treat yourself respectfully.
exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. So
Now, the other challenge we have as leaders is often people don't value respect. They think it's a nice to have
mhm,
and not an imperative. Well, there's actually a lot of data, and I know how much you love data. There's a lot of data out there that says cultures where people treat each other with respect are actually much more productive. Their retention of their best people is much higher. Their levels of conflict is
mhm,
much lower, and their customers are more satisfied. So I don't see why not. I mean, if you have a respectful culture, then it's very likely you're going to have really good business outcomes. But so many leaders came up through the ranks, they were not treated with respect. And so they think, well, that's not all that important. It's extraordinarily important these days. Maybe not 20, 30 years ago. I think it always was, but it maybe had less of an impact 20 or 30 years ago than it does now. And going forward, I can only foresee that those cultures
mhm.
that are respectful then are much more likely to be successful and outdo the competition.
Absolutely, because this is also why people want to join a company and
Yes.
they want to stay.
Yes.
So this is really a key differentiator, and it's about treating ourselves respectfully. It's about also recognizing, okay, I mean, we have been raised in a certain way because, the previous generation believe, certain things and they did their best. Okay. So it doesn't mean that we can't change our perspective
Right.
because the next generation usually knows more than the previous one. It's part of the game, right? So,
Yes.
you know,
Yes.
thank the previous generation for what they did. They did their best, and also because we want to contribute to our society is evolving and a better place for all of us, and better impact. Also having the courage to say, okay, so I'm gonna change a little bit my mindset and check if I feel better and if others feel better as well. And so
It's not easy to do sometimes.
yeah.
I I I have a colleague who studies respect in work cultures in Latin America. And he said something that I found very sad. He said there are many folks in the workplace in Latin America, especially at the lowest levels, who expect to be disrespected by their leadership. They expect it. It's as
Mhm.
if it was normal that they are on a pecking order, and the lower down they are, the more they are going to be disrespected. And that is just the way it is. So it's no wonder that we have workforces who are hardly working, who are trying to get out of work, are making excuses, are not showing up, or are late for
Mhm.
work because they've been treated with disrespect and they assume that that's just the way it is. So why would they want to put
Mhm.
in the extra effort? Why bother?
Mhm.
If there's nothing in it for them, they're not being paid well as far as they're concerned, and they're not being treated with respect. So why should I bother?
Mhm.
And here's what's really interesting is when you do treat them with respect and you're still not paying them very well, they're more likely to perform and they're more likely to stick around and they're more likely to show on up on time if you treat them with respect even though you're not paying them very well. Isn't that
Mhm.
interesting?
Yeah, yeah, it's very important. And I believe that whatever circumstances, it's also our responsibility to reflect about what respect means for us and to look for places, environment, or people who are aligned with what you are looking for. Okay, so that's
Yes.
also our responsibility, also to be in curiosity and to develop ourselves daily, to reflect, and say, okay, related to respecting myself today, how did I do, on a scale from 1 to 10, and how did I do in terms of respecting others, right? This type of question can help you to gradually, step by step, have this awareness for yourself and develop related to this topic. And then the impact on health and the impact on your work will follow as well, right? Because as we just said, it is linked to.
It
So
is
it's really, again, the power of question, right? Yeah.
it's a lifelong practice. I've been doing this work for 25 years,
Mhm.
and I think I know a lot about it, and yet I still fail. I still make mistakes.
Mm.
I have often been accused, for example, of being too nice.
Mhm.
And I think there's some truth to that. I am conflict averse. I don't like to take people on when they fail. Instead, I make excuses for them, or I don't give them any feedback, and then the problem continues. So I know that about myself, and it's imperative that I have enough respect for myself to stand up for myself as the leader of my organization. I need to stand up for what I believe in and not cave in to
Mhm.
my own fears about conflict.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
it's taken me a while and some coaching from very good coaches like you to learn how to respect myself enough to give others feedback, even though it may be painful to me.
Yeah, and it's also, thank you for sharing that. It's also respect to acknowledge that we are all on our way.
Yeah.
We are the best we can be at any time and developing daily, and also respect our reason, right? There is
I
a
had a
oh,
client. I apologize for interrupting
yeah,
you.
go ahead. Yeah.
I had a client, a woman who was a very successful scientist, and yet she never felt, and we did the research, the organization didn't really value or appreciate her. And partly that's because she came at her science from a very humble place. She always felt there was more to learn, that she was a human being, and that she would never, ever self promote or aggrandize herself in any way, shape, or form. She believed that based upon her accomplishments, her merits, her training, her skills as a scientist, that she would get her due in this organization, and that just didn't happen.
Mhm.
And she came to me in a very frustrated place. She didn't
Mhm.
understand why. And she said, "I don't feel respected at work." And I said, "Well, I don't mean to point a finger at you, but maybe it's the way you're being, your humility, your unwillingness to claim what you've done as important. Other people see that and they pick up on that. And
Mhm.
so I'm not blaming you. You are highly accomplished. You've done incredible things, and you need to find a way to be comfortable in your own skin with your successes and being able to talk about them in a way that lets other people know that you are grounded and secure. You're not arrogant, you are confident, and
Mm.
you are secure, because that's what gets rewarded.
That's nice, the link you make between confidence and respect. Very nice.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Very
Yes.
nice, because in coaching, we talk a lot about how to develop confidence. It all starts with ourselves, right? So we
Yes.
often say there is a mirroring effect. So what you see outside reflects a mindset.
Yes.
So, for all of you listening to us, this is really something very important to understand. So,
I think women also,
yeah.
it's a challenge for
Mhm.
women, because in many cultures women are told, don't be
Yeah.
arrogant,
Mhm.
be self-effacing,
Mhm.
be humble, be
Yeah.
uh, uh, just don't push yourself on
Mhm.
others.
Mhm.
And unfortunately, in many cultures, it's the ones who are confident who get rewarded, and the ones, unfortunately, who are arrogant, who also get rewarded, and that turns a lot of people off. But leadership sees them getting things done and pushing the envelope, and that's the people who get rewarded. So this is a big challenge for a lot of women, less so with men, but a lot of women have this challenge. And I struggle with it too, because I don't want anyone to be arrogant, but I do want them to be confident.
Yeah. So, I think it's important to communicate your value because the world needs it. So it's really about asking yourself the question, okay, so I got this talent or skills or knowledge. Do I want to keep it for myself or to refrain myself to share or to restrain the potential? Or do I want to communicate freely? Okay.
That's
And so that
beautiful.
people can
That's
use it.
beautiful.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and I believe we both come with this, this mindset when we are here with you. We share our stories, right? We share our experience, and because maybe that could be useful for you. And
Yes.
we are, hoping also that you will share your comments and questions so that we can best serve you. So because, this is what we decided how we decided to use our time. And, it's really to share with others what we know, and also to, as we said, to be in curiosity and to ask questions because we want to learn as well. So it's really a two-way communication. So that's really important to understand. Yeah.
I remember when I first started doing this work, I don't have a graduate degree of any kind. And there was a huge amount of imposter syndrome going on with me. Who am I to stick my nose in to respect? Why am I qualified to do this? And then through coaching, I realized that I want to stick my nose in because I care so much about it. And it means so much to me. And it has such a powerful impact on the world that it's okay that I don't have these degrees in this. I'm studying, I'm learning, I'm writing about it, I'm reading the experts, and I feel like I can translate what is being said in a way that others can use. But I honestly don't think I felt fully comfortable in my own skin in this regard until I hit around age 45. I know that sounds crazy because it probably looks like I'm very confident, but I was very self-doubting all the way up until age 45. And I think it was the combination of having good coaches and colleagues, and also just waking up one morning and realizing I'd done a lot in my life. I'd seen a lot, I'd experienced a lot, and I'd suffered plenty, and I had to work my way through difficult times. And I finally woke up about 15 years ago and I said to myself, yeah, I think I can do this. I think I know what I'm talking about. But believe me, for a long time, I felt like an imposter.
Yeah, and this is, I read recently on this imposter syndrome. This is something very common, right?
Yes.
We all have that to a certain level, and it takes time also to discover yourself. Okay?
Even you, Chris? Even you?
Oh yeah, sure, absolutely.
Really?
There are
Wow.
moments where less now, I have to say, because I'm like, okay, I'm doing what I feel could be useful, and let's see. So I'm more relaxed about that. But
Good.
yeah, I think we all go through stages where we are not sure.
Yeah.
We are not sure about ourselves. We are, I spend years, listening to people saying, oh, you should do this, you should do that. You are good on stage. You are good to, set up teams and motivate people, and set up communities of leaders, etc. But I was not sure about that because I was trained as a scientist. So it was like, okay, what are they talking about? So, and they say, you should be an entrepreneur, blah blah blah. And I didn't want to listen to that for a while. And one day I got an opportunity to be on stage. I couldn't refuse because management asked me to do it, and so I went there and I felt so comfortable, before, during, and after. And I said, okay, so this was like a turning point. I said, finally, you can't just ignore it. And then, I said, okay, this is me. I was not sure, but now I have some proof that, it's great, It's, also emotional component, right? Yeah.
Congratulations.
Connecting with people was something very important for me, but I was, for a while, and I think it was wonderful as well, connected with, the chemicals, okay? Not necessarily the people. But, one may say it's the same, right? Because we also exchange a lot of energy, right?
Yes.
Wonderful. So this is, again, so insightful. I like when we make the link between different topics, right? Respect, leadership, confidence, value, communication. So really wonderful. So before we end this session today, a key message for the audience, Greg, what would you like them to keep in mind from our discussion?
Well, thank you so much for asking. When I think about all of this work that I've been doing for so many years, and what would I want people to go away with if they learned anything at all, it's to not to undervalue respect. Consider it to be one of the most important leadership skills you possibly could have. If all the research says that if you treat people with respect the way they want to be treated, then there's some physiological changes that go on in their body that actually make them feel good, and therefore will perform better for you if you treat them with respect. Just please don't underestimate the power of respect. It makes an enormous difference. The classic example I give, and it's, boy, is it happening a lot lately, is you're at the airport and there's an announcement that your flight's been canceled. And you go up to the service desk and you really want to unload. You really want to explode. But you know that if you do that, that the person, the customer service representative, is very less likely to want to help you. But if you treat them with respect, even though you're upset and frustrated, they're much more likely to go out of their way to help you out. And so that's where we have to come from. What's in our best interests is often in the best interests of other people. And respect is the glue that makes things work in today's world.
Wonderful sentence. That's really a nice ending for this discussion. Yeah, respect is the glue. Yes, absolutely. Respect yourself, respect others, and things will be really so easy for you. Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you so much again, Greg. This was really wonderful. And I want to mention that the next interview, as usual, will be with John Sigmund on leadership in the VUCA world, okay, with this very changing world. So you don't want also to miss that. It will be on June 21st. Okay, so and then you can join me for, when I share my tips and experience in the morning on Tuesdays at 8:30 CEST. I wish you a wonderful end of the day, wherever you are in the world. We were very happy to share with you. Don't hesitate to share comments, questions, to share with me what you would like to see happening next time, topics. We need you also to, to learn from you and to define, a plan for the year. Okay, thank you again, Greg. And we talk soon. Bye-bye, all of you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.